Anthony Van Brown, in his book, An Unlearned Life, A Journey to Find Truth, says, and I quote, "When you leave the darkness of the closet, you begin a life of honesty, authenticity, and freedom." I lived in a closet for 40 years. My parents' behaviors put me there, and my beliefs and my actions kept me there. My name is Francesco Lombardo. You can please call me Franco. I'm the author of 3 books. I'm an international speaker, and I have a private practice where I work with some of North America's wealthiest families. One of the reasons I'm so successful is because I, like you, am committed to my learning, which is why I enrolled in Dov Baron's Authentic Speaker Academy for Leadership, and I am graduating today. And it is there that I found the key to get out of the closet. Let me take you back to where it all started. How many of you remember being 7? And how many of you at times wish you were 7? And how many of you still behave like you're 7? Well, as you may remember, 7-year-olds, they're fun, they're gregarious, they're curious, fully self-expressed, and usually looking for one of the parents' approvals. I was just like that. Mommy, mommy, mommy. What I really wanted, what I desperately craved for, was for her to pick me up and hold me up and tell me that she loved me and that I mattered and that I was important. See, I, like most of you, just wanted to be acknowledged and seen. And even when I got it, I didn't trust it. You see, my father was a really jealous man. And if he ever found out that I'd gotten affection from my mother, he'd come at me with a belt. This little boy, as he struggled, the only place he felt safe was in his closet, surrounded by the toys his father had bought him. And even though I was alone, I had a couple of companions in there with me. And these companions would mold me and shape me and influence the man I was to become as I journeyed through life. And my first companion was, what's wrong with me? The second one was, what do I have to do for them to love me? Do any of you have companions like that? So in my 20s, when I got into the investment management business, I thought if I make a lot of money, I'll buy my way in, and you guys will love me. And I did. I made a boatload of cash. I became really successful. Now, one of the contributing factors to my success was that I've always worked with a coach. How many of you have ever worked with a coach or are currently working with a coach? Good for you. That's awesome. So one of these coaches recommended that I attend this personal development workshop, you know, that touchy-feely stuff. And I trusted him because I trust my coaches, and I went. And I showed up at this thing like a Cuban gangster, man. I had the cream pants, the blue shirt, and the orange jacket. Like, hey, man, notice me, check me out. Look how successful I am, man. That's what I was putting on out there. What was really going on was I had this knot in my stomach because I had a companion from my closet of what's wrong with me. And during one of the processes, as one of my fellow trainees with these piercing blue eyes sees right through me, he says, "Franco, I experienced you as dishonest." Took me back. There I was, fully exposed, naked, with nowhere to hide. Busted for the first time for being a fraud. And this was the start of my journey. So for the next 15 years, I took a whole bunch of personal development courses, facilitated some of them, learned some great tools, and they'd last for about a week. Have any of you ever gone to a great workshop or a business seminar and there's a great idea and you go, "I got to apply that for the rest of my life," and it lasts for about a week? So you know what I mean? This was my path. I would learn how to talk the talk, but I certainly wasn't walking the walk. And I remember one day getting ready to go see my accountant, dear friend. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, in my spectacular ocean view home, by the way, admiring myself in the mirror, going, "What a good-looking wop." And I'm thinking, "Man, Franco, you have really arrived, baby. Look at you, man." There's a Cuban was there too, right? And I'm thinking, "Man, I've really got it made. I've got the ocean view home, the convertible black Mercedes, the showcase wine cellar. At this point, I'm getting paid to speak, so I'm a professional speaker. And, of course, being good looking like me, we got some McCory stuff. You can have some of this. I was always dating the beautiful women. So there, I'm getting ready. And I'm going to see Al, my accountant. And I'm going to share with him how successful I've become. And as he's finishing his wonton soup, "Wingo, you all bring about 2% of your capacity. You need to find your other 98%. You think you're a speaker, you're a performer at best. I will introduce you to Dov Baron. He will help you find your other 98% so you can play a bigger game." Now, I've known Al for 20 years, and he's got his own language. So let me translate for you. Franco, even though you've achieved what appears to be really success, in actuality, you've done that with only 2% of your actual ability. There's another 98% waiting for you when you've come out of the closet. And that scared me. I was also sitting there thinking, how dare you? What do you mean 2%? Look how successful I am based on what I've got. But I didn't see anything. Remember, I was a fraud back then. So I went home and let that stew for a bit. Let it simmer like a good soup. And one day it hit me as I'm sitting in my spectacular ocean view home. It was just another closet, except this one had a view. I was still in a closet. How many of you out there appear to be successful or feel you're successful, yet at times still feel you're in a closet? See, success sometimes is elusive. We think we're striving for success, but yet we don't know what we're searching for. I certainly didn't. So I agreed to go meet this Dov character. And I gotta tell you, he's like this Scottish, African-American bloke. Okay, he's got this great big pipes and this enormous chest. Look like man boobs, but they move. And he's like 6'5", but I think 3.5 of that is his afro. It's so huge. It's just massive. But more importantly, he has this enormous heart. And he held a vision of me, and he held it fiercely for years. See, Dov mentored me for over 6 years. And I would get pulled back to the old way of being, and he would bring me back. It was like a dance, you know, an Italian and a tall Scottish black man. It's really quite something. And one day he says, Franco, you've got to attend the Authentic Speaker Academy for Leadership, laddie. It's your last hope. So I agreed. I signed up, and I miraculously got in. I can't believe he accepted me. Like, you know, the Cuban and everything. Like, you know, come on. So I made it in. And I showed up at this thing, and guess who's there with me? You got it. Hey, man, notice me. I'm a speaker. What are you people going to teach me, man? I've got it all figured out, man. And when we'd have to do things, the Cuban would do it his way and he'd get knocked back. Do it his way to get knocked back. And the coach would go, what you do is what you do. And I'm going, what the frick does that mean? I have no idea. I just get so frustrated. I couldn't get it. Until one day, I'm having lunch with a peer and two of the coaches. And one of the coaches leans over as his face softens. And he says, Franco, you do not need my approval. See, I was doing what I always did, which was sitting away, yapping away, trying to impress. And I sat back in the booth and let those words land in my heart. Just like a leaf falls from a tree in the fall, gently making its way down to the ground. And I got it. And that's what brings me here with you today. Able to express myself with a full range of emotions and not worrying about your approval. It's been an amazing journey. So my question to you is that something that would be of interest to you, to be comfortable in your own skin, to be able to express yourself and to step up your game? See, we all know people who believe they have a message inside, whether that's one-on-one or with a crowd, but they don't know what that message is, and they have no idea how to bring that message forth. Or how about, for those of you that have already achieved success and are replacing your life, where you're asking yourself, is there a bigger game that I can be playing? Do you know anyone like that? Maybe you look at them in the mirror every time you wake up in the morning. The main problem with the people that appear to have it all together is they believe that if they achieve more, buy more, have more, in my case, it was wine, they would feel more real, more accomplished. And the other problem is for those who feel they want to have or share a message or speak to someone in an intimate way, their companions get in the way, and they can't be themselves with that person. And for those people that want to play a bigger game, they have no idea how to step off their current field and find the new field of possibility. Now, would you agree that none of this stuff works? So we both know if you were able to get real with yourself and own the stuff from the closet and snuggle up with those companions so that you are in charge, your life would transform. You wouldn't feel shame anymore, would you? Your shame would become your power. Your shame would become your differentiator. We also know if you're able to find the courage inside of you to share what you need to share in such a way that inspires people so that they become better at who they are and they play a bigger game. You will feel completely different. So I'd like you to imagine right now that you're on your way to have that conversation with that individual that you've been avoiding for a long time. And this could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be a child. And as you're going towards to that meeting, you have that knot in your stomach of, ooh, I don't want to really do this. And your palms are all sweaty and you're nervous and you've got some sweat coming down your brow like I have mine. And you sit down and you're having coffee with this individual. And as you're speaking, you feel this feeling of warmth coming over you. And it's courage that's been there all along. And it's finally found you and you found it. And as you're speaking with your friend, you see tears running down their eyes. And you know you've impacted them. And then they reach over and they grab your hand and they say, thank you so much for being honest with me. And they in turn share something with you that they never shared with anybody. And you know right there that you've impacted their life and their life has been transformed. I know this is possible because I had one of those conversations with a friend of mine. And before the program, I had no idea I was capable of that kind of honesty and authenticity and compassion. This program has transformed my life. I don't even recognize myself. The last 34 days have been amazing. I have bought out my business partner. I have sold a home I've lived in for 11 years. And I get to graduate today. So what would it be like for you to be able to be honest and real with yourself and those that really matter to you? What would it be like to have the confidence, to have a message that you know impacts people? And what would it be like for you to play at a game you never even dreamed was possible? What would that be like? Is that something that's important to you? Is that something you would want? Is that something you'd be worth fighting for? Yes? What would your relationships be like? You know, Ron shared his relationship with his spouse and his kids. Corey shared his relationship with himself. What would your life be like? What would that be worth to you? See, in the Authentic Speaker Academy for Leadership, we learn a way of living. Someone asked me recently, they said, Franco, you've done a whole bunch of personal development work over the last 18 years. What's different this time? One word, stickiness. We learn codes of conduct and principles that become us. We become the program. And that transforms us. You've already heard the other speakers say that you must apply. And then you get interviewed. And then you get your butt kicked for 6 months. Hard. But I can tell you it was worth every second. One of the codes of conduct that's really, really stuck with me, and I use it in my work all the time, is are your actions that of someone who is interested or committed? The key word is actions. So you've heard a lot of speakers tonight talk about the opportunity to invest in yourself through this program. My question to you is really simple. What's the action you're going to take at the end of tonight? Thank you so much. My name is Francesco Lombardo. Please call me Franco.